And lazy Mexicans. That's why they lay around, and these brown-skinned people, these Mexicans, they're all smoking pot.
You live in Mexico.
About 4 months out of the year.
Who the fuck is less lazy than Mexicans? Mexicans, like,
they're the hardest damn workers I've ever met.
Exactly. It is one of the dumbest stereotypes of all time. Check out Mexican gardeners.
I'll tell you this. I live off the grid. I live where there's no electricity, and an hour from pavement and an hour from electricity. A neighbor built a home down there, and I had nothing to do, so I'd go watch it every day. That's how I live down there. And I watched these Mexican workers build a home out of cement from scratch. They didn't have electronic cement mixers. They mixed every bit of that cement by hand. And one day I'm watching, the rebar? 2 guys had to bend rebar by hand, jerking on it with a pipe to put it at a 45 or 90 degree angle, whatever it was.
That's up to code. We'll have to inspect that building.
Well, the point was, I started laughing and I said, if you brought the American construction worker down here, he'd quit in a day.
Yeah,
he would quit
likely.
in a day, because all they do is deliver raw materials, and these Mexican builders would build cement houses out of nothing, out of raw material, without a bit of electricity.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Mexico.
I love it down there. I love the food. I love the people. I love the life I lead down there, because it's the exact opposite of here. Down there, I live off the grid, and I only pay attention to what I can see.
That's nice. That's relaxing.
It's called flushing your brain out.
My family lives down there. My parents do. Yeah, they decided to chill out down in Mexico. Do the retirement thing.
I'll tell you what else is great, the taxes. And we always laugh at the Mexican government. Oh, they're corrupt, they're this and that. On property taxes, they are way superior to us. You know how it works down there?
No.
Here, at least in Minnesota, which is pretty much universal, if you buy a home and you're a good citizen and you fix the home up and improve it, how do they reward you? You pay more.
Right.
Your taxes go up for being a good citizen. So using their analogy, you should buy the house, let it become the shithole on the block, and they'll reward you. You'll pay less. Here's how it works in Mexico. Mexico, your taxes are due in March, property taxes. If I pay them in January early, they knock off 20%. If I pay them in February, they knock off 10%. I go down January 28th. February's a short month. So in 30 days, I get 20% on my money legally. Tell me where I can do that.
That's pretty beautiful.
20% in 30 days. Now, granted, it's only a couple $100 because property taxes are cheap there anyway. But that's a couple tanks of gas for my pickup truck.
Do you feel weird living down there?
Not a bit.
Not at all?
No.
No?
I don't even know the language.
You don't know Spanish?
Nah.
Why don't you know it?
Because I've never taken time to bother.
What do you do when you're down there? You just barely talk to people?
Well, between what they know of English and what I know of Spanish and pantomiming, we figure it out.
Wow.
It's like, okay, all you got to know to survive in Mexico is one word.
What's that?
Just look at...
Hola.
No, not hola. That's hi. I know a little bit now. No. You look at any
Gracias.
Mexican, smile at him and say cerveza.
Oh.
And you'll get a smile back, cerveza, see.
Oh, so you're just getting hammered all the time.
No, you just say beer to them. They love to drink beer. And so that'll smooth out any situation. Just smile and say cerveza.
Most people don't know also that almost all drugs are decriminalized in Mexico in response to the drug laws and the drug war.
Starting to get there.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court ruled on 4 people, but only those 4 people can grow and have pot. It takes 3 more cases before it becomes the law.
Yeah, I don't think it's legal, but it's decriminalized. Like mushrooms are decriminalized.
It's getting there.
Yeah.
President Fox, who was my friend, he came out and said he wants it decriminalized. He said, I'm a rancher farmer. I want to grow it.
You're friends with the president?
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
I knew both of them, Fox and who was before him. Well, remember, I was a governor.
Yes.
I went there on a trade mission.
Oh, and that's how you found out about the place?
Fox and I actually established a trade thing in Minnesota via Mexico, because when I was down in Mexico, they took me to the Corona Brewery, and when they took me there were pallets of corn, all from Minnesota.
Yeah, see,
they send their corn from Minnesota to make Corona beer.
I was going to say, I would assume that like Corona is such a weak beer. I would assume it's probably grown in America.
No, it's corn, but it's United States corn. It's Minnesota corn that makes
gluten-free.
That makes Corona.
Yeah, gluten-free. Like if you're one of those gluten-free fucks, you can have a Corona. It's one of few beers. I think Heineken too. Some rice-based beers. I think Budweiser actually.
Yeah,
believe it or not.
Corona though, they get all their corn from Minnesota.
So you're just cervecing it up back there?
No, I don't even drink.
You don't drink?
No.
So why do you say cerveza? For your friends?
Well, because that means beer in Mexican, and all the Mexicans love beer.
Oh, I see.
That's why if you just smile and say cerveza at them, you'll get a smile. Cerveza, see.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, so you're not asking for one.
No, I'm not asking for one.
Oh, I thought you were
I'm just doing it to be friendly.
Lit. Oh, okay.
No, I don't drink.
So what do you do down there?
I wake up in the morning with nothing to do, and when I go to bed at night, I'm half done. Can tell I've been asked that answer.
I can tell. Yeah, I was going to say that.
No, I stole that from a friend down there. He said it one day, and I said, "Can I use that when I do an interview?" He said, "Feel free." So I wake up in the morning with nothing to do, and by the time I go to bed at night, I'm half done.
Well, you obviously wrote this book, so you're doing something.
Yeah.
So why do you write books? You just get bored?
I write them if I'm motivated.
So you got motivated because of this epileptic seizure issue?
Yep.
I don't know if you've ever paid attention to this, but the Navy SEALs had an issue with epileptic seizures as well from the rebreathers. Apparently, there's something to do with getting I found out about it because I started eating a ketogenic diet, getting my body to process fats instead of carbohydrates. And one of the reasons that the SEALs are looking into this is because it prevents seizures in people that use those rebreathers as opposed to, the ones that don't make bubbles.
Yeah, I used them all the time, the Emerson rig.
Yeah.
I dove them. That was the majority of the thing I dove when I was in there, and I never had a seizure.
Well, it's not.
I never heard of anyone having a seizure.
Yeah, some people have them apparently. I don't know how common it is.
I never heard of it the entire 6 years I was in.
Well, it's also epilepsy in children. They've used ketogenic diets to control epilepsy in children. But again, like you were saying, marijuana is another big factor in that.
I would think this. I would think if anyone had any type of seizure disorder, that would disqualify them from the SEALs.
Yeah, I don't think it's a disorder. I think it's a direct result of using the rebreathers. It's not common. Yeah.
But I would think anyone that had that result from a rebreather would be washed out.
Yeah, you'd think, right? Well,
because you couldn't take the risk that the person would have to do that job and could have a seizure while attempting to do it.
Yeah, I don't know when the seizures occur. I don't know if they've isolated it, but I do know.
This is the first I've ever heard of it.
Dr. Dom DeAugustino, who is one of the premier experts on ketogenic diets and nutritional ketones, He's spoken about this, and I've read some other articles about it as well. Especially with kids with epilepsy.
You got to remember, when I was in the teams, it was a whole different mindset.
Well, it wasn't even called the SEALs back then, right? You were called.
You had the SEALs too. We were underwater demolition teams,
right?
And the SEALs, both.
It was both?
It's called UDT SEAL, BUDS.
Mm-hmm.
BUDS stands for Basic Underwater Demolition /SEAL. What happened was, we were the frogmen, and in 1962, John F. Kennedy had enough foresight to realize that wars would be fought by small units from now on, so he took the frogmen out of the water, and he put them on the land with an executive order, because up until that point in time, the Navy could not go past the high water mark. From that point, it was the Marines. It required President Kennedy to sign an executive order that allowed the Navy to go past the high water mark, which he then created. Kennedy came out of the Navy, so he took the Navy frogman and put us on land.
Oh, that's
and they renamed us then SEALs, which the acronym SEAL stands for Sea, Air, Land Teams, which means we come from the sea, we come from the air, and we come from the land, any of the three.
That's interesting.
That's where it all came from. Kennedy formed a SEAL. He took the frogman out of the water and put him on. The Marines were angry because they felt that the land was theirs and the Navy shouldn't be there.
That's always been weird to me, the rivalry between military units. You would think that the United States military is one big team.
No, because if you're not in a common war, then you got to fight each other.
Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah.
People are fucking crazy.
Well,
why are we so crazy?
When you're in the military, it's just your mindset.
Yeah.
It's your mindset and you get bored. So if you haven't got an enemy to fight, then you fight the other in the bars. You fight the other services.
So
we used to do it all the time. We get in trouble all the time.
But doesn't that seem stupid? I mean, isn't it one big team?
War's stupid.
It is kind of stupid.
So why wouldn't there be stupidity along with war? You're dealing with people with major egos, high testosterone rate, and they're warriors. When you play that game, that's a game for real. Many times you don't come back and play again. It ain't like football. It ain't like any of these sporting events. It's a game of finality.
Did it feel like a game when you were in the military?
No, it was my job. Again, as a pro athlete, that's your job too. It feels like a job. It's your job.
It's your job, but it's also your life. I mean, it's not like you're punching in a Jiffy Lube.
But you volunteer.
Right, of course.
To go into the buds, you have to volunteer. It's a volunteer unit. You can volunteer in, you can volunteer out. It's whether you want to do the job or not.